I agree. And that's where I want to start when we talk about some of those candidates. First of all, it's going to be like an uncomfortable second half of the year for Matt Rule and Curt Cignetti, regardless. I mean, for Cignetti, for any job that opens, especially when more
he doesn't care though. That's the best part about him.
No, he doesn't.
He did an interview with Joel Klatt on his podcast. Joel's podcast is very good over there at Fox. But Joel asked him, "How you doing?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to find a way to get a couple of first down so I could kick a field goal." Right? Like that was his answer. And it's just, he doesn't care.
He's in his meetings. He's watching. Yes. He's a film junkie. He's watching everybody play and trying to steal some red zone plays or whatever it might be. But let's start with Matt Rule because he is super close personally with Pat Kraft. They're besties. Their wives are very, very close. They both have beach houses in Cape May, New Jersey, the greatest place in the world, which is where I got married. Good. And you like Cape May, New Jersey.
Been there one time. I'm planning to go back.
Great. We can hang out with the Rules and the Crafts next time when we're all down there. But they have been close since they worked together at Temple. That's part of it. Matt Rule is a great coach, great college coach, program guy, the way you want to win, stylistically, really good at hiring. He has done the rebuilds, right? At Temple, Baylor, he inherited right after a scandal. And now he's doing his thing at Nebraska, where they are taking a step in year 3. We'll get to my midseason CFP predictions, but you might see a Nebraska logo on that bracket with the path that they have the rest of the season. So I think this name is very interesting because it's his ties to State College, the area. He talked about it this week and was like effusive in his love for the place and for meeting his wife there, how much he loves Pat Kraft. Like Nebraska fans who are worried about him leaving focused on all of that. Everyone else focused on him saying like he loves living in Lincoln and loves it there and all of this. So I thought he actually answered it pretty well because he gave, it was honest. I think it would have been like insincere if he said, I don't love State College or like I don't have this attachment to Penn State. But to me, Nebraska I would stay at Nebraska. And I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up staying at Nebraska because this is a place where if you go 10-2, they love you. That's awesome. You're making the playoff. That is huge. These are huge steps back to relevance and national prominence for Nebraska, which has been through it. They went through the 9-4 isn't good enough. Let's get rid of Bo Pelini and bottoming out of the program. Yep. And now, sure. I mean, if Nebraska loses a game, the world is ending like it is at every major program. But the big scale stuff, where are we in college football? Are we moving in the right direction? Are we competing, contending? They appreciate that. They understand that. And you would be now going to a place where you have to work with your best friend, which I don't know if I would want to do. Mm-mm. B, your best friend might have to fire you if you don't win a national championship, which is
or you get your best friend fired too, by the way.
And your best friend could get fired if you don't win a national championship. And if you go 10-2, that's what just got the last guy fired. Yep. So that's what I think is really difficult when I look at the Matt Rule situation. And Cignetti reminds me of that too, because the quality of life. Yes. You are in Indiana. This is the losingest program in college football history. You have already done a lot of things for the very first time. They are currently ranked higher in the AP poll than they have ever been ranked in the history of Indiana football. You have a clear path to the college football playoff for a second straight year. You look like a national title contender. They will build a statue of you. And also, by the way, they were the program that gave you a chance to be a head coach in your 60s of a power conference program. That, to me, is something that you potentially just stay for. I think if you were 30 and you get that job or 35 and you get that job, you're like, all right, I got to be an SEC head coach. I got to keep climbing. I don't know if you have to keep climbing if you're Curt Cignetti. And again, they could have a year where they go 8-4, 7-5.
They could go 5-7.
And everyone's fine. They're like, all right, whatever. We trust you, Sig. Like missed on a couple guys in the portal this year. It's okay. So this is why like these two names are going to remain kind of attached. These coaches are going to, be on all these lists, especially for Penn State. I get it. But I just think we need to explain the context of what their situations are right now in case they are not the next Penn State head coach, which I don't think it's a slam dunk for Rule. I think Cignetti, as we sit here October 16th, I wouldn't be shocked if he is a lifer at Penn State. At Indiana, if Curt Cignetti is a lifer at Indiana, got to be clear there. But that's just where I am, Joshua. And I might be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. This is the very beginning stages of a coaching search. But these things are really difficult. And I think that the Penn State level of expectation that you have explained so well is really, really important when you're talking about someone leaving a good spot or a good situation to jump into that fishbowl, that unique challenge of it's got to be a national championship.
Yeah, I mean, the expectations are crazy, right? But like, you get into college coaching because you're a crazy person anyway. So I think those guys, like, if they're going to talk themselves into it, that's going to be part of the thing that they embrace. Going back to Matt Rule, I agree with all the personal things. And oh, by the way, he is very aware of what just happened to Scott Frost, who played at Nebraska. And I think there's this thing, and I joke about it. If I ever got into coaching, I'm never becoming the head coach at Ohio State. Like, coaches get hired to get fired, and then you're disenfranchised with your alma mater, and that's got to be a tough way to be. So I think about that. The other thing too, just on the Penn State side of this, and part of this is where Matt Rule is coached, right? Like, this is not an indictment on him. I think he's a phenomenal ball coach. He's 2-23 versus top 25, and he's 0-11 versus the top 10. And that was the problem with the last coach. And again, I get it. He's coaching at different places that are disadvantaged compared to Penn State, but you have to be able to like make a little bit of a leap there to say that, this guy who has not done well against ranked teams is going to be a guy who can win you a title. He's a builder. You mentioned the builder thing. Go ahead.
I want to jump in on that because I think it's very likely that the next coach that Penn State hires has some blemishes on their resume, right?
No doubt.
Or like their overall record may not be super impressive. It may not look anywhere near like what James Franklin overall record is at Penn State as he leaves, but that's not the point. Again, I think you're going to swing for the fences and you obviously want a big name and you want a slam dunk hire, but the point was change. The point was like, we are too familiar with James Franklin. It has been too long and all the warts are there and we're running up against them every single year. So like, that's one thing that I think a lot of people, a lot of national folks are fixating on. They're like, they're not going to get a better coach than James Franklin. It's just about having someone different. It's about a clean slate. And so
I get it.
That's what I think about.
You want to win championships. So like a different coach has to be a better coach too.
Agree. But I'm saying like coming in, the record may not be better.
No, I totally agree with that.
I'm saying?
Well, I looked this whole thing up. There are only 10 coaches in Power 4 coming into the year that were 500 or above versus ranked teams. So by the way, there ain't a lot of guys who are much better than what you just left. It's the whole thing of why I think this is so interesting. Anyway, I'm going on and on about this. But that, there's the Matt Rule side of it. You mentioned Cignetti, and there are not a lot of negatives to trying to hire him. But he's an older guy. So you ask the question, how long do we think we're actually going to get him, which is a legitimate one for Penn State. And I'm with you. If I'm Sig, I'm staying around, not just because of the expectations. They paid this man 10 games in to last year, gave him a raise, $8 million a year, whatever the number was, plus $1 million retention bonus, up from $4.5 million a year. And oh, by the way, here's $11 million to go hire a staff. And I think Ohio State's staff pool is $11.2 million. Like, we're going to do facilities for you. We're going to get NIL together. They are invested. And if I'm him, that's all I need to hear is like, if you guys put the money behind this, I know I'm a good ball coach. I'll be here and I'll win. And
they'll get to the playoff every year. That path is obvious for them and for being in the Big Ten. 11-1, 10-2. We're used to it. And a lot of those donors who are used to donating to basketball, donating to football, everyone's in, like, to your point about the resources. And by the way, I don't think that's going to be his final salary. I think he's going to get another extension, another raise, and it's going to be among the best in the country.
I'd do it tomorrow. I would do it tomorrow. And guess what? Their boosters have probably been waiting for a chance to give money to football like this. So, like, it's
basketball has been down. So it's like, of course, here's a great opportunity for someone who could be nationally competitive.
Let me ask you this last thing before we get going, and I'm going to kind of spoil the next segment, but Nebraska and Indiana are both projected playoff teams. Timeline of Penn State if they want to hire either one of these coaches.
This is a really good question. I am so interested to see how this plays out because not just Penn State being open, but like this carousel is going to be insane. There's already a lot of power conference jobs open. We're expecting more to open in the SEC, more to open potentially in the Big Ten at least as well. So there's going to be domino effects, especially if like Lane Kiffin gets one of these jobs that reopens another SEC job. But this is going to be a fascinating question that we don't know the answer to yet, because the first year that we had the transfer portal and there were dates, it was like early December. So that was a year that like a lot of people made midseason changes and they tried to hire coaches before the portal opened so that they could be active and get players. This year, the portal is moving back. It's moving to January 2nd. At that point, we'll have gone through the New Year's Day games. There will be 4 teams that are still playing in the college football playoff. And by the way, like everyone who's playing in a quarterfinal, like that's still a crazy turnaround if you're trying to make a change like the next day and hire somebody who's playing. But it's a great point, because I would think that if you're coaching in the playoff, you're out. You're not a candidate. You're not an option unless you're going to make a change really late after the portal. By the way, there's now only one window.
I know. And then you've got the early signing period for high school. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
So that could take some of these coaches out of contention, depending on how far they get in the college football playoff. Be interested to see what that means for coordinators and coaches too, because we've seen some places like let someone do double duty and stay through a playoff run. That playoff run is a lot longer now than it used to be. Right. So how does that play in? So it's a great question. Really good question. We will see. And we'll talk about this, by the way, down the stretch, because I think it's really, really important.